guys, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to talk about a reading slump. I had a really bad reading slump about a month ago. I think it lasted 2 months, maybe even longer. For me it's mostly because of my anxiety, and that makes me really exhausted, and sometimes I just can't focus at all, so I just couldn't read. Like I really couldn't read. I couldn't even focus on most TV series, which really sucked. And then I started school, and that like took up all of my time and energy, so I still couldn't read. And yes, but I got out of it. I am reading like I've never read before. That's not entirely true, but I'm reading like I used to read before, and I'm going to share my tips with you. So I wrote them down because I've been thinking about them, and I have quite a few tips and I don't want to forget any. Okay, so tip number 1, read several books at once. Usually when I am in a reading slump, or if I just finished an amazing book, I might not be in the mood for like so many books. So I usually like to read maybe a heavy fantasy book, a really light contemporary young adult, a really thin funny book, you know, like just have a few different genres. I wouldn't recommend like 3 books, not more than 3 probably, because I usually read like 6 or 7 books at a time, but it's read the ones that I actually do read are just 3 books at most. So yeah, so that when you don't feel like reading the big thick fantasy novel, you can just pick up the really nice light airy contemporary novel, or who knows, or a manga or something like that. So yeah, have your options open so that you're not stuck with just one story when you might not be in the mood for that story, so that you keep reading. Tip number 2 is make a TBR list and use Goodreads. I'm gonna show you my list. So I have this bullet journal. Here it is. This is my bullet journal for this year. My first bullet journal. And I made a TBR list. I just went a bit creative on it, and I just wrote down the books that I really want to read, and then when I read them I colored them in. There are still a few here that I haven't read yet, but that's okay. I will get to them someday. I might not be in the mood for them anymore this year or next year, but that's okay too. But just so you have, you know, kind of like an incentive to start reading again. Also the Goodreads, if you don't know Goodreads, you can keep track of the books you own, the books that you've read, you can make friends and see what they're reading. But they also have a challenge on there where you can challenge yourself to read an X number of books this year. And that can really motivate you as well to just keep reading and continue reading. And tip number 3 is the exact opposite. Don't have a TBR list, don't go on Goodreads, and definitely don't have the challenge, because it might just be too daunting. It might make you feel really crap about not being able to read right now because you have to read books. It will start to become, you know, something that you have to do instead of something that you really want to do. So, you know, try it either way. If it's working for you, use it a lot. If it's not working for you, just forget about the challenge. Maybe like get rid of it altogether or lower it. That's what I did. I want to read 100 books this year because last year I managed to read 100 books. So I thought, why not, you know? But I was just that massive reading slump that I had for a few months that really cut into my book reading. So I lowered it to 75 books. And I'm almost there, and still a lot of books, I know. But yeah, don't feel bad about it. Like, some people read 1 book a year or not at all. Just enjoy reading and lower your challenge, or don't have it at all. So you can try either one of those. Tip number 4 is to keep track of the pages that you read instead of the books that you read. This is what I did in my journal for a while when I had that slump. I started to keep track of the pages that I read that day. So here I read 82 pages in Arsenic for Tea. But when I started, let me just check. Here, like for instance, I read 90 pages in Fairest of All, and then I read 2 whole pages in Arsenic for Tea. I don't know anymore. Anyway, I think I just read like 17 pages, and that was a lot for me in a day, but just, you know, having those pages add up and seeing the number and being able to fill in something might encourage you to pick up a book and just read 1 page so you can fill in, I read 1 page. And don't feel bad about it, just be glad that you read. What I do right now is I just, in my bullet journal, if you don't know what it is, you basically write down a list of what you want to do that day. At least that's how I use it. I always just put down read, so that if I want to cross it off, which is really satisfying, I have to read at least a line. And yeah, I think that I don't do the pages anymore because it, you know, you do have to count how many pages you read, but it can be quite satisfying in the beginning if you think that you didn't really read anything and then you end up reading 20 pages or 30 pages or maybe even 50 pages or more, and you realize that you do read more than you think you do. And for me, that was really motivating. But again, like, it depends on what kind of person you are, if this works for you or if this makes it worse. Tip number 5, always keep a book with you. When you're in the train or standing in line or waiting in the car or whatever, if you have a book with you or near you, you are much more inclined to pick it up and to read a few pages, because a lot of reading slumps also happen because you don't have time to read, and this is how you use the time that you otherwise would be just waiting or being on your phone to actually read in your book. Tip number 6 is to set a standard reading time. Doesn't mean that you can't read outside of that time, but maybe you would love to read right after lunch. To just sit there with a cup of tea and read a few pages before you get on with your day, the rest of your day. Or maybe, like me, you can go to bed a little bit earlier than you really want to go to bed, so you can just relax, lie in bed, wind down, so that makes it easier to sleep as well, and read before you go to bed. This is dangerous though, because sometimes it's just so excited that I just keep reading and go to bed way too late, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. Tip number 7, I already kind of mentioned it, but to have like a simple, easy, contemporary read. Like, I find it hard to describe these books, but you know what I mean, right? Those really simple, nice, usually they're young adult books that are not too thick, and you just go through them and they're fun and they're easy, you don't have to think too much about them, and they make you feel good and you race through them. Those kind of books. Let me know if you want me to make a video about those, because I probably have a lot of them lying around, the books that I go to when I'm in a slump and I just need something light and easy and fun. Or if you know a few of those, I recommend them down below. But yeah, that's really handy to have a few of those somewhere lying around so that you can grab them when you have a reading slump. Tip number 8, I think. Get excited to read again by looking at the books that your friends have read on Goodreads, or looking at booktube videos. Sometimes I look at other people's booktube videos and they have like all the books that they read or the books that I bought and are really excited to read, and sometimes I have a few of those books, and hearing them being excited about it and talking about it really makes me want to read again. That can help. Again, it can also make you feel bad about yourself for not reading yourself. If that happens, step away from the computer. But hopefully it won't. Hopefully you can just, yeah, look at other people, their books, their reading and everything. Go on YouTube, look booktube videos and be inspired. Tip number 9 is to read one of your favorite books. A book that makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside and that you know you'll always love to read. You probably have a few of those. Try and read that. Don't be too upset if it doesn't work. Sometimes you're just not in the mood for reading, but usually those books can help you get back on the reading track. And it also brings me to tip number 10, is don't be too hard on yourself. Sometimes you have to accept that this isn't your time to read a book. You just don't feel like it. Just go do something else, read a magazine or watch TV or play a game or whatever. Just do something else and just wait for a better time. Yeah, sometimes you just have to accept it. Don't torture yourself trying to read. It will come back to you. This isn't forever. Everyone gets reading slumps. yeah, so that's also one of my tips. And then last but not least, this will save you so much time and probably makes you really want to read, is to have a digital day out, or just like stop. Yeah, is that how you say it? Digital day out? No, it's not how you say it. It's like you're going out and be digital. The opposite. You just stop being digital for a day. You turn off your phone, you ban television, you're not allowed to play games, you're not allowed to go on YouTube, you're not allowed to do anything to do with technology, basically. If that's too hard, you can always say like, I'm allowed to watch one episode when I eat lunch or something like that. But I have done this sometimes for a week, and sometimes I did like check my messages, like for instance at 5 o'clock or something. I was allowed to check my messages in case there was something really important. But other than that, just stay away from technology. You'll be amazed how often you reach for your phone when you're just sitting somewhere and you're like, I don't know, you just reach for your phone and you go like on Tumblr or 9gag or YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or WhatsApp or all those things. Like, it takes up so much time, and it's not a bad thing that you do that, but sometimes taking a break, for me especially, also television, because I watch a lot of TV, like not actual TV, but I watch a lot of Netflix and series and movies. You get so much free time and you basically have nothing better to do, so that's usually when I read a lot. And also when I get to, like when I do things like write or do artsy stuff, start drawing again, it's great. You should definitely try it. If you can't do it for a week, just do it for a weekend or a single day or an afternoon. Try it. I promise you'll probably be pleasantly surprised by how much time you have to do the things that you want to do for ages but never got around to. So yeah, these are a few of my tips. I hope they are very helpful to you. Next time you're in a reading slump, or if you're in one right now, I'm really sorry. Yeah, let me know if you have any tips of your own, or if you have already tried a few of these, if they work. And I will see you soon with another video, and keep reading, guys. Bye!